The inside story on the issues that affect you and your community. This is Local 12 Newsmakers.
On 25 January 2011, demonstrators in Tahrir Square in Cairo believe they toppled decades of dictatorial rule and ushered in a new era of democracy and civil society. 2 years later, Egyptians found themselves squared off across Tahrir Square, divided over the meaning and legitimacy of the democratically elected president, Mohammed Morsi. Now that military has once again asserted itself, where does that leave Egypt? And where does that leave the United States in the view of Egyptians? Good morning and welcome to Local 12 Newsmakers. I'm Dan Hurley. At the end of the 18th century, colonists living in the 13 English colonies led the first revolution of the modern era. But in the 21st century, as a superpower, we prefer stability and predictability. The turmoil ushered in by the Arab Spring puts the United States in a difficult position between established governments and popular sentiment. I do not normally venture into international affairs, but this week I became aware that a longtime local Cincinnatian who now lives in Cairo is home for a vacation. I am joined this morning by Anthony Persigian, who worked at the University of Cincinnati for 40 years as a professor of anthropology and as an administrator. For the last 14 years, he served as senior vice president for academic affairs and the provost of the university. After retiring from UC, and I put that in quotes, Dr. Persigian transitioned in January 2011, very interesting timing, to a role as the Board of Trustees Chair Advisor of the future University of Egypt for Quality Assurance and Academic Affairs. That responsibility has allowed him to observe close up the revolutionary change sweeping Egypt. Tony, welcome to Newsmakers.
Good morning.
And welcome back to Cincinnati.
Thank you.
A nice time for a little visit. And,
yes, indeed.
So, you know, as a colonial revolutionary historian myself, I've only once sort of been in a society that was undergoing transition itself, and that was in the Soviet Union about 3 months before things really blew up. What's it like to be living in Egypt right now? And because revolutions aren't just single events. They don't happen in 2 days or 2 weeks or something. They take years. So what's it like being there, as an American, being there?
Well, as an American and having benefited from a revolution, I can certainly empathize with the Egyptian people. For at least 6 decades, they lived under the oppressive yoke of military dictators, starting with Nasser through Sadat and to Mubarak. And to see on 25 January 2011, on Police Day, a day to celebrate the police, to see that day picked to unleash a liberation, it's truly been an amazing experience. I can empathize with the people who've been under that yoke of oppression for so long. A military state, a police state, call it what you like. And in 18 days, the world saw an incredible development with the toppling of Hosni Mubarak.
You know, we can tend to think about revolutions as purely governmental issues. You know, we change the structure of government, change the processes of government. Right. But revolution and the embrace of democracy goes much deeper than that. It's not just about government, it's about a culture, it's about attitudes, it's about private institutions, universities. Right. And in some of the articles you've written, you talk about Egyptian universities, quote, need more autonomy and democracy within universities.
Exactly.
So how do you see Egyptians that you work with on a day-by-day basis struggling to learn the meaning of democracy in their own lives and in institutions outside the government?
Yeah, and I think that's the key word, learn, because this is an altogether new experience for them, whether it's the governance of the nation or the governance of the university system. Everything has been autocratically managed, top down to the most extreme degrees. And so what I'm witnessing, certainly for the country at large and for the university in particular, is a learning process now. Well, suddenly we are empowered. Suddenly we have a say in our affairs. A dean might maybe want to propose a new curriculum. Now we're seeing people truly liberated and no longer fearful to express themselves.
Well, in the university situation with the immediate past president, Mohammed Morsi, right, was the government still trying to exercise influence in what the and the future university, and we have an image of the future university here that we can put up, but the future university is a private university. Correct. It's not a was there any effort by the government to impose its will under Morsi on the university, or was the university moving forward on its own?
Well, the Minister of Higher Education under the Morsi administration, as before under the Mubarak administration, the Ministry of Higher Education was over both private universities and governmental universities. We at Future University, a private university, you would think would be a little freer, a little more autonomy, but really that wasn't the case. And in fact, under the Morsi administration, there was hardly any relaxation of that top-down autocratic control. And in fact, I thought the government took a very backward step about 3 months ago in mandating curriculum reform for the government universities, which essentially removed all humanities courses, social behavioral science courses in terms of a gen ed requirement, making the education essentially very technically focused.
Was that because of an ideology coming out of the Muslim Brotherhood, or was that out of an attempt to say those, you know, because we hear some of that language in the United States too.
Sure.
Gee, those general education courses, let's get rid of those. Those aren't really important.
Practical, right. Well, conspiracy theories are rife in Egypt, and I guess I've been there long enough.
In the United States, too.
And I've been in Egypt long enough to become part of the conspiracy theory culture. So I'll put my conspiracy theory hat on and argue that this dictate to eliminate a lot of general education courses in university curricula. My conspiracy theory would say that this was intended to focus the education only on technical skills, certainly not on critical thinking or questioning or global perspectives, basically produce technical automatons.
Well, that's very interesting, because in some of the, well, I think in all the articles you shared with me that you have written, you talk about the absolute importance of a student having that mix of technical skills and general education, liberal arts, or whatever, however you define that, because of the need to be nimble as the economy, as technology, as things change, people have to change.
Yeah, exactly. And
so you're running right up against that.
And I've always tried to be careful in terms of, well, I can't just impose American higher education on them. Our system doesn't necessarily translate 100% there. But certainly from my reading and knowing what the employers need, they are seeking people who are more adaptable, who are critical thinkers, who can work in teams. So I think we need to make some transformational changes to the curriculum as well as to the methods of teaching in Egypt.
Well, in fact, one of the things that you write is about the need, and this could be written about America too. Egyptian students need greater cross-cultural literacy and experience with international cooperation as we go to a global society.
Exactly.
Which I find very interesting, that international cooperation, if there's not an experience of collaborativeness and cooperation in your own society, it's hard to then function that way in a global economy.
Exactly, and here I have to give the leadership of Future University all the credit in the world. Chairman Khalid's vision is to put FUE on an international stage, and so we've been working very, very hard the last 2.5 years to forge collaborations, partnerships with international universities, including the
University of Cincinnati, right?
Including University of Cincinnati.
And what would that mean in practical terms for a University of Cincinnati? What kind of relationship would would you like to see develop between these two institutions?
Okay, we are nearing completion of a comprehensive agreement between FUE and UC for joint certification of the FUE programs in business, in engineering, political science, and economics, such that over the coming years, UC faculty would work with FUE faculty to make curricular changes, to make changes in teaching. And the ultimate objective then is that when FUE students graduate, their diplomas will reflect UC certification or UC endorsement. And so this will give, I think, FUE a great competitive advantage to have a curriculum that meets international standards, to meet standards of international accreditation. And so that's how we are marketing FUE now, as an international university.
That's a great opportunity also for University of Cincinnati professors.
Absolutely, yeah.
What about for University of Cincinnati students? Would there be potential here for exchange opportunities for living in
Exactly.
Egypt?
Students from UC could go to FUE for a semester abroad program, and it would be an incredible experience for them.
One of the statistics you cite is that 55% of the Egyptian population is under 25.
Right.
To what extent is that university population politically involved out in the streets, involved in actually creating the future of Egypt right now?
Well, one can't underestimate the impact of that 25 January 2011 revolution. It truly liberated the population, and one thing that instantly went away was fear. No longer fear to speak one's opinions.
And has that continued?
And that has continued unabated. In fact, I think dear Egypt is probably the protest capital of the world right now. We could see 4 or 5 months ago events beginning to take shape, culminating in the July 3rd toppling of the president. People are freely expressing themselves in the squares.
Okay, this is a struggle. You know, there's been this now toppling of an elected president. Do you have confidence that Egypt will, maybe in a messy way, find its way back? I mean, the military seize control, find its way. Will people insist that democracy is still the path of the future? Do you believe that? Right.
And I think if we harken back to the 25 January revolution and what the mantra was for that first revolution, it was bread, freedom, and social justice. Very simple. Bread, freedom, and social justice. And I think to the core, the Egyptian people know that those three objectives can only be ultimately realized through democracy, through representative government. I believe that's in there.
And through a transformation of the economy, which is very heavily government controlled and actually military controlled.
And the military has sizable economic business interests, yes.
Living there, you share with me, you live there about 10 months a year. How's an American treated and seen? Because there's a lot of controversy right now among those who are in the streets about the role of the United States government in the events of the last several weeks. So how's a individual American treated?
I'll have to say, arriving there 2.5 years ago, I was a little concerned, you know, given the view of American foreign policy in that part of the world. But I have to say that my Egyptian colleagues have treated me very warmly, very hospitably. And in fact, the reason I'm there is to bring in American influence and American standards to their educational system. So that brought me credibility, but the important thing is I think the Egyptian people keep separate government from personal relations.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the work you're doing, and when you're back in Cincinnati, let me know, because we want to keep in touch with this development as it goes forward.
Thanks much, Dan.
Thank you.
My name is Frances Kroner, and I am the chef owner of Feast. I'm here today to talk about Random Snacks of Kindness. Random Snacks of Kindness is a snack company that gives back. We work with different community-focused organizations to help create a limited edition food product that we then market and sell, and all proceeds go back to the organization.
Welcome back. Cincinnati has been an outstanding center for the arts since the 1870s. Pardon me. In the 21st century, we are rapidly coming to understanding that innovation and entrepreneurial activity are what will give us a future. Artworks empowers and inspires the creative community to transform our everyday environments through employment, apprenticeships, education, community partnerships, and civic engagement. The most visible expression of artworks are the great murals around the city. But a new program, Springboard, is a business planning and development program for artists, artisans, and creative entrepreneurs that targets sustainability in small business. I am joined now by Frances Kroner, the chef owner of Feast and graduate of Springboard, who is working with a group of apprentices this summer, and Teresa Helly, the Vice President of Development and External Affairs for Artworks. Welcome to Newsmakers, both of you.
Thank you.
And if I don't say this, it'll slip out some other way. Frances grew up was born, and we grew up on the street that I lived on in Northside, and I taught her father in high school, so I just feel a tremendous connection with this. This is wonderful. Plus, you worked at Slim's, which was a great restaurant in Northside, so all sorts of things going on here. So welcome.
Thank you.
Random Snacks of Kindness.
Yes.
Where'd that come from?
Actually, it came from my dad.
Okay.
Yeah.
That I can imagine.
He's a social worker, and he had...
And both your dad and your mom, Peace Corps graduates?
Yes, they are. And I've always wanted to do something philanthropic with food, but it's not the easiest idea to come up with. So he had this name, and I sort of connected the dots of how I could make it something that I could work with. So that's how it came to be.
And did you sort of launch this before you did the Springboard program?
No, actually, I graduated from Springboard about a year ago, and I had this idea sort of randomly, randomly in that year time between now and then, and pitched it to Artworks as an idea for their apprentices because they were looking to do something outside of their traditional murals.
And Teresa, what is Springboard?
So Springboard is a business development program that we launched about 2 years ago to really help creative entrepreneurs to take an idea that they have, incubate it, and launch it. We've helped 24 new businesses and nonprofits launch in the past 2 years. 129 individuals have graduated from Springboard. So it's really the idea for us as we expanded our reach at Artworks. We work with a lot of artists and creative entrepreneurs to begin with. And we noticed that a lot of them are really talented in their craft, but really didn't have all the business acumen to help them sustain their small business. So that's why we launched Springboard 2 years ago, and we're really happy to see the relationships and the success we've had so far.
Well, I want to go back and play another little clip of this video. Even though you're sitting here, I just think it's fun to watch how this video has been put together.
Yeah.
That explains what you're doing right now with Artworks this summer. So let's listen to this.
This summer, we're teaming up with 6 Artworks youth apprentices to develop the ultimate snack mix. Artworks apprentices will experience the culinary world as an art form, plus begin to understand how they too can turn their creative talents into a career. The snack mix will hit shelves this winter, and all proceeds will benefit Artworks to help them to continue to foster creative entrepreneurship in Cincinnati. We are always looking for new businesses to partner with, so if you're interested, by all means contact us. And remember to look out for Artworks and Random Snacks of Kindness Ultimate Snack Mix this winter.
Okay, got your plug in there.
Yeah.
But what's the ultimate snack?
Well, it's the perfect blend of salty, sweet, savory. You're just going to have to wait and see what it actually tastes like, because we're actually going to be working with the apprentices to develop it. I have a sort of framework, but they're going to get to play in the kitchen. Cincinnati State is actually going to donate the kitchen space for us to use, so we're going to be there in the big fancy kitchens. The apprentice team's all going to be wearing hats, which is really fun.
How are the apprentices chosen?
So we have apprentice interviews in the month of April. We had close to 400 apprentices apply. Then they have to do an in-person interview.
What's the background of these apprentices?
That's a great question. So last year, I need to get the numbers for this year. Last year, I know we had apprentices from 57 different zip codes, so all throughout the greater Cincinnati and northern Kentucky region.
And what age?
Ages 14 to 21.
Okay.
And so they apply. Some come from schools with a strong art background. Some don't. As we know, a lot of art has been cut from curriculum.
Right.
So we have a really wide, diverse group of kids that we employ. This summer, we will have 115 youth apprentices working on projects just like Random Acts of Kindness with Franny, as well as 10 murals and other arts and art therapy projects.
There's a great mural that's being prepped, and is it this week or next week that? Well, we're going to be taping on. This is going to air on the 14th. So will that mural at 7th and Vine be well underway?
Yes, that is a mural we're doing in partnership with John Ruthven and the Cincinnati Nature Center. It's actually underway pretty well already, but our lead artist, Tim Parsley, is working alongside John Ruthven, our legendary, beloved artist, with 15 youth apprentices to create that mural.
So, Frances, you're going to be working with these 7 apprentices who got accepted. Did you screen them? Are they people who like to cook? Are they people who, what got them to you rather than painting on a side of a building?
Well, they actually chose to be a part of this particular project.
Always good.
Yes. We did have a couple questions, like, have you ever baked before, and was it a success or a failure, that kind of a thing. So,
and did it matter what you answered to that second part?
Well, it did a little bit. I mean, we didn't count them out if they said yes, but it didn't turn out as well as I wanted because, you know, this is a learning experience. They'll get to learn a little bit more about how to use an oven. But, yeah, we definitely picked them because they were interested in this project.
So when you start, is it sort of wide open? Or do you kind of know where this is going to end up?
For the snack mix?
Yeah.
Or for the snacks? Well, this is our first launch, so this is the first time that we're doing one. For this particular one, I did know sort of where we were going. Because we are working with the youth, I didn't want to do something that was extremely culinary challenging.
Yeah.
But for future partnerships, no, we're going to be creating like a customized product for each program.
Well, one of the challenges that all entrepreneurs have, whether they're artists or not, chefs or not, is the funding question. And Artworks also has a new, fresh approach to that, which is really fun here.
Yeah, so we launched 2 weeks ago Power to Give. And what Power to Give is really rooted in is connecting individuals to support the projects that are going on in their community that they love, that are based on arts and culture. So right now there's over a dozen projects on the Power to Give website for the Cincinnati region. So if you go to artworkscincinnati.org or powertogive.org
we're gonna get people there.
/Cincinnati. You can check out the projects. Random Acts of Kindness is actually one of the projects on Power to Give right now. So if individuals want to contribute and to help support the project and the apprentices, they will have special invitations to snack tastings at the Culinary Institute.
So this is really crowdfunding.
This is crowdfunding, yes.
On a really local level.
So Power to Give is already in 15 different cities. It's helped to launch or to fund $3 million in these respective cities. And because of what we do at Artworks is so based in partnership and community engagement, it seemed like the perfect fit for us to bring that to Artworks and launch Power to Give in Cincinnati.
So Random Acts of Kindness is one of those, and how are you doing on getting funding?
We're doing great so far. We can definitely use a little bit more, but you know.
Okay. Okay. So do you see this as an ongoing thing? This is an ongoing business venture? This is just your first practical?
Yes, and I've actually gotten probably, you know, a dozen applications for new partnerships after this program, so that's really exciting. You'll be able to look out for Random Acts of Kindness in the future with different organizations.
So it's not only how to put them together and prepare them, but you're also figuring out the distribution, the marketing part.
Yes.
So there's lots of possibilities. People who are graphic artists could be involved in something like this.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, we're working with different graphic artists to create a logo for this particular snack mix, and each time it will be different.
Well, I can tell you that Artworks and what we know, as I said what most of us know it is for the huge murals, is one of the most creative organizations and links people of all ages in this community and gets people doing art, not just studying art or thinking about art. And that's great. This is a great new innovation. This is wonderful. Let's make sure people know how to find you. So first off, to find Francis just for general, www.feastcincinnati.com, and Artworks is artworkscincinnati.org, and Artworks telephone number is 333-0388, and the crowdfunding
website, the crowdfunding website, powertogive.org/Cincinnati for the Cincinnati Project.
Thank you, and I will be looking for the snacks.
Yes, please do.
I always look for the snacks. Thank you for making Newsmakers part of your Sunday morning. Join us again next week to meet the men and the women, young entrepreneurs and older folks, who are working to shape our region for a better future. Have a good week.